Hello, down here, and I am going back to Iwaihime after so many months of not playing it, and we're going to continue this as well as continue the letter back and forth, along with some other stuff, until one of them is finally completed. I think we're starting the 5th story. The plants, flowers, and even animals were whisking away from the long drought. The villagers had reached the last of their limited provisions. The crop fields had lost their vibrancy, and they could expect little from the autumn harvest at this rate. If they had only been lush, then the villagers could have had hope. They wanted rain, but more than anything, they wanted food to last them through the day. The villagers, starved and dehydrated, groveled as they could do. All they could do was wait for a blessing from the heavens. That said, they couldn't just sit back and starve to death either. A group of young men with energy and despair fought back their hunger as they prowled the hills and mountains for game and edible plants. A wounded deer ran through the dead trees covering the mountainside. Oh man, it's been a while since I don't remember their name. Suzumu? It was the first prey they trapped in a while, but just when they were about to kill it, it went berserk and tore out of the trap. Even Mutsu, the fastest and strongest youth in the village, had a hard time catching a wild deer on the run despite his injuries. So are we going back in time to like ancestor stuff now, I guess. This is definitely like, it kind of looks like Suzumu, I think it does. But after leaping over a thin mountain stream, the deer ran out of breath and crouched to the ground. The young men readied their spears and tried to cross the stream, but Mutsu shook his head, stopping them. That is the same voice. This is definitely Suzumu's like ancestor.
そら分かってるけど、お山の神様だって少しは目をつむってくださるじゃろう。お山は禁足地だよ。人間は踏み入ってはいけない。それがこの地に住むことを許されたご先祖様と六神様の約束だよ。六神様のたたりはごめんじゃ。
The deer appeared to know the same thing. It calmly crouched there and stared back at its impotent pursuers. The mountain of Lord Rokugami must never be tread upon. That was the sole taboo imposed on the villagers. It was said that Rokugami, the deer gods, deer gods retainers, the golden deer lived there in the mountain. Deers, antlers, those girls. Huh. The mere act of seeing one would extend your lifespan, and the creatures were worshipped. But the mountain was holy ground, bringing earthly corruption onto it would result in wrath most ferocious.
仕方ないよ。お山は犯さない。他を探そう。手ぶらじゃ帰れんぞ。みんなで散って何か食べられるものを探そう。もうあらかた食えるもんは取り尽くしたぞ。それでも何か見つけるしかないんじゃ。頑張ろう。
The young man weakly nodded and split up. If they didn't eat, they'd die. If they didn't want to die, they'd have to find food. From a modern perspective, this was an era where death was a constant companion. But that was just the way things were back then. Those who were born into those times never questioned them. Hunger and the ever-present threat of death were only natural. A certain robust young man had lived in this era. His name was Mutsu. There were various theories regarding when the faith centered around the god known as See if I can pronounce this right. Rokugamihiko no Mikoto. How'd I do? If the oldest writings were to be believed, it already existed at some point between the 8th and the 12th centuries. In other words, over 1,000 years ago. It's likely that the mountain was designated a non-hunting area so as to prevent people from hunting game such as deer to the point of extinction. Eventually, it became a holy ground and was revered as a sacred mountain where the deer god Rokugami lived. And that god became known as Rokugami Hiko no Mikoto, the deity enshrined in Iwaimoto Shrine.
となると、ご神体はその山ということになるのよね、普通。
And now we're back here to the present.
この神社の裏手にある山がそうなのでしょうか。
その山は黒神家が所有してはいるけれど、特に信仰の対象にはなってないの。六神彦の命のおわした聖なる山はどこのことだったのか。郷土史の研究家たちが頑張ったみたいだけど、未だによく分かってないの。
なら、この神社は何をご神体にしているんでしょう。
もちろん一般公開はされてないから、ほとんどの参拝客は知らない。でも、研究の結果、ご神体の正体は分かってるの。後で教えるけれど、とても意外なものよ。
It's always, I'll tell you later, I'll tell you later. Tell me now, get it over with, please. Because by the time they try to tell me later, someone might be dead by then. It was the Sunday after the Iwaimoto shopping district's Happy Fun Carnival. Miss Hinagata had told me she wanted to talk about something, and so we met at Iwaimoto Shrine. Last week I did something rather shameful. We had a sleepover in order to prepare for an early morning. However, I must have caught a cold, as the next day I broke out into a fever that forced me to leave the others and go home early. Perhaps it was punishment for my frivolous behavior. Kiko had confessed to me the day before. At first, I thought going out with her would make for a good learning experience. But I was still in the middle of my training until I became a full-fledged man. It was too early for love. I told Kiko that the day of the sleepover. I had given her the okay at first, and I appreciated her feelings, but I wanted us to go back to the way we were before. Kiko was miffed, to say the least. But eventually, she forgave me with a smile. I believe I made the right decision. As for why I had a horrible dream that night that began with us confessing to everyone that we started dating. It's not a dream. It's not a dream. I've been having bad dreams since the night before. It may even have been the same nightmare over and over again. I ended up hurting Kiko a little. I would have to reflect on that and continue training hard. And that brings us to today.
ご神体はね、本殿にあるのよ。本殿はさらに向こうね。もちろんそこは非公開。無理に暴けばたたりがあるそうだから、一般人は誰も入れないけれどね。
僕たちはそのご神体に向かってこの拝殿から拝むわけですね。
そういうこと。まあ、神社はどこもそうなんだけどね。
Miss Hinagata coming over for the shrine to tell me something private. But since it was all related to the shrine itself, I felt like I was on a field trip. At first, I thought she was going to explain why she invited me to join the LCSC. However...
先生は神社とか郷土史とかに詳しいんですね。
まあね、ちょっと縁があっていろいろと調べてたことがあるの。
縁って何ですか？
I hope you learned more about her.
何から話せばいいんやら、私も戸惑ってるわ。鈴原くんに信じてもらえるように話せる自信が未だにないの。
普通ではとても信じてもらえないような話なんですか？
普通の人にはとてもね。
Tell me.
最初は昔話から始めることにしたの。この町の子なら小学校の時に習うくらい誰でも知っているこの土地の昔話。
In the end, all they could do was look for edible plants, but Mutsu refused to be discouraged and went into the thicket to search. Unlike modern times, people ate whatever they could back then. They didn't have much of a choice when it came to food. So finding anything edible would be a boon beyond all reckoning.
見つかればの話だけれどね。
He decided to go a little further. Anything edible in the easily accessible places had already been taken by others. So the trick was to look in places harder to reach. Mutsu looked for edible plants while also searching for animal tracks. Animals were major targets. Finding a trail meant a chance to trap one.
もっとも向こうも飢えてるだろうからね。僕が逆に彼らの食事にされてしまわないように気をつけないと。
The bears and bulls were nowhere to be found. They must have left their usual territories to sate their hunger. Mutsu honed his senses, knowing he was outside his own usual territory. Well, just then he heard rustling through the thicket. A rabbit, a raccoon dog, or could it be a wolf? Mutsu crouched down, held his breath, and observed carefully. But in the end, what he saw defied his expectations.
No, 落ち着いて。僕は野党じゃないよ。
She must have been scared by his hunting spear. Mutsu lowered it and attempted to convey he bore no ill will.
それは失礼をいたしました。
Mutsu couldn't take his eyes off her. What he found was the great beauty of an Azusa priestess. Azusa priestesses refer to wandering shrine priestesses in this era. As mediums who could channel gods and spirits, they were sanctified and respected. There were also evangelists, as well as peddlers who brought wisdom and rare goods from afar. And since they were all beautiful young women, it was said they were gladly welcomed by every village they visited.
このようなところで何を？道に迷われましたか？
どうかお助けを。
I
それが
wonder who this
足を
one
踏み
looks
外し
like.
て。
The Azusa priestess guided Mitsu to the steep slope at the edge of the thicket. At the bottom crouched an elderly priestess. It seemed she'd gotten lost amidst the animal trails and didn't notice the sudden slope until it was too late. Fortunately, a tree trunk had broken her fall, but she'd be in real danger if she took another tumble.
ババ様、人を呼んでまいりました。それは助かるよ。
足をくじいている。
はい、それにババ様はあまり目が。
僕が助けるよ。おばあさん、そこにじっとしてて。今助けるから。
Mutsu nimbly descended the slope. He managed to reach the elderly woman with little difficulty.
大丈夫？足をやった。
どうにもね。どうにもね。
腫れ上がってる。無理に立とうとしないで。担ぐから。
Mutsu carried the old woman on his back and carefully ascended the slope. She and her companion's luggage were by no means light, but they weren't anything the robust Mutsu couldn't handle. So he took his time making it back up. Eventually, he managed to bring the old woman to the top of the slope.
ババ様、足が大変。
村は遠くないよ。このまま運ぼう。
よろしいのですか？すみません。
困った時はお互い様さ。
私、鈴の目と申します。あなた様のお名前はお聞かせください。
Susanome.
Mutsu.
Suzumu. Can you figure out where I'm going with this? I don't know where I'm going with this. I just saying their names combined make Suzumu. That's definitely not a coincidence. That's definitely not a coincidence.
大した名前じゃないんだ。6人目に生まれたからムツらしいよ。
ムツ様、感謝します。このご恩は忘れません。本当にありがとうございます。
Mutsu felt a red tinge spread across his cheek when he saw her smile. His heart soared for the first time in his life. Little did they know this would spark a love that would span a millennium. Hmm. Oh, hey, we're back to her.
1000年遅い。
Oh my god. I feel like like there's a spark that I'm of snap. Sound akin to a snappy branch or sounded from somewhere within the doll encircling me. I think we've already gone through this already. Another doll had broken, unable to endure the suit. No number of them would be enough. Even the final doll of my own body will likely burst in the near future.
小賢しや人にたちよ。
You have horns now. You didn't have horns before.
なれど1000年の長きを耐え、我はようやくこれだけのすすを集めた。もう次はない。お前で小賢しき術も終わりを迎えるのだ。私の苦しみ抜いた1000年にもはや意味などないのか。
So wait.
哀れな女よ。我とてお前にだけは同情せずにはいられぬぞ。
So okay, if I'm thinking about this correctly, so the antagonist, I guess, what you would say, it's not Susumu, it's not Toei, it's not the girls, it's the thing possessing the girls, which is that deer god. I think I already forgot the name, but I think that's probably like that the actual antagonist.
お前の同情などいらない。1000年を巡り、ようやく帰ってきた思い人であろうが、この運命はお前のいたずらなのか。これは1000年をよく耐え、人鬼たちの人柱としての運命を全うしたお前への我からのささやかなねぎらいである。
Is it sacrifice?
ざれ言をどうせもう終わる運命ではないか。1000年を経て帰ってきた愛しき男を抱きながら死にたいとは思わぬか。あの男に抱かれたいだろう。
鈴原先輩に抱かれたい。
Is Ruria? Oh, all of them counting them. Can I?
濃いドロドロのすす欲しい。
I don't like how you phrase that.
私の中にスズムの恋のいっぱい注ぎ込んで。
Don't phrase it like that, please.
お前が抱かぬなら、あれを抱きたい者はいくらでもいるようだぞ。うるさい。
あんたがいらないならおいらがもらう。鈴原先輩に抱いてもらって愛してもらって ってドロドロしてネバネバする。
Stop.
進むのすす
No, don't phrase it. No,
いっ
stop.
ぱい
Stop.
欲しい。
Stop. Don't phrase it like that, please.
黒髪先輩がいらないならみんなでスズム襲っちゃおうか。スズムを私たち3人で愛しちゃおうかな。そして先輩のたくましいすすいっぱいに頬張ってすすり尽くしちゃうのに、
Yeah.
スズムが干からびるまでいっぱいいっぱいめちゃくちゃに愛されたい。
我はすでに十分にすすを蓄えている。あれのすすは確かに惜しいが、お前がいらぬというならば、この者たちにくれてやってもよいのだがな。
Okay, what's gonna happen?
消えろ、消え
My phone must have been ringing for a while. Then it slowly brought me back little by little.
もしもし。
遅えよ。今どこにいんだよ。
Oh god, this asshole.
待たせんじゃねえよ。とっとと来い。
すみません、翔様。ちょっと体の具合が。
んなこと聞いてねえよ。言いなすけ解消されてもいいのか。あ？
それは困ります。
速攻来いよ。いつものカラオケ屋だからな。たく、恥をかかせんじゃねえよ、たくよ。
He angrily hung up. I needed to marry that man.
けなげなことよ。そのようなゲスに未だに海外しく尽くすとは。
For once, I agree with this thing.
もはやお前には不要な言い名付けであろうに。
Why was she engaged to him? Perhaps the engagement was no longer necessary. After all, I suspected that it would end with me before another generation could even begin. But maybe, just maybe, I could keep holding on. So I still needed that man for that slim possibility. However, even if it didn't conclude with my generation, it could very well just end with the next. But that was my duty. That was the sole reason why we were given life. Okay, that is. I'll end this continuing. I don't even know what part of this series, of this series this is, but I'll end it there. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, check out other videos I've done, and hope to see you next time. Bye bye.